What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Halos. I'm your host today, Jared Timms, and I am joined alongside my co-host, my partner in crime, Nate Green. Nate, how you doing?
Good to see you, Jared. How we doing? Good to be back. Everything going well with you?
Where do we go somewhere?
We missed a day.
We did. Oh, not really. Today's Wednesday. We
We
missed
didn't do
last Friday.
Friday.
We missed
Yeah,
last Friday. So now we got news. We got some news for you.
sure.
We got some news. We got rumors. I don't know if I got a question to ask. I'm trying to debate here. I feel like the little bit of news that we have, um, might bring us on a little bit of a tangent. I have a weird feeling on that one. So we'll kind of see where it goes from there. No, I don't want to talk too much about the whole Amazon Bally's thing. I don't know enough about it. I don't think anybody knows enough about it to really dive deep into it. You can say you do, but if you don't have a legal background, you probably don't know really what's going on. You can, say you're waiting on the press conference, waiting on the interview. I don't think it has very much to do with Artie spending. I mean, maybe a little bit,
I disagree. I think it has a lot to do with Artie spending because if Bally doesn't pay, or if Diamond doesn't pay the Angels this year, that's a lot of money that the Angels are not bringing in on top of the Shohei Ohtani that left. Like that's a lot of money that Artie pretty regularly depends on. And you look at it, I mean, we talk about it all the time. Albert Pujols was signed for one reason and one reason only, and it was to get this TV contract. So I do think that this does have a lot to do with how the Angels spend. It sounds like this deal could get done. We don't know when. We don't know. It's still got to get through the courts, and the courts could take a long, long time. So I do think it does play into Artie willingness to spend, but I think there's another reason that Artie isn't really spending right now.
Artie's going to sell the team.
Yeah.
I think
I agree. I,
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 I
I
do too.
think Artie is looking to sell the team. I think
Me too.
it makes a lot of sense for him right now. He lost out on Ohtani that he's not going to that, and I think that's why they're pretty quiet with the offseason right now is because either Artie isn't making the decisions or he doesn't want to make any decisions until the team is finally sold and the new owner can make the decision. So I think that Artie's days are numbered, and he's getting ready to get out of town.
Yeah. I don't want to dive into it too much, obviously speculation, but yes, I do agree. When you start hearing things in the background, you do start thinking, about weird scenarios like that. Um, Again, don't want to speculate. I don't want to talk about the Amazon thing. I don't want to talk about already selling the team today. Before we get on to what we're talking about, don't forget to follow us on all our social medias, X, Instagram, Facebook. You can follow myself on X at Jared_Tim's, Nate at Nate Green 34. If you like what we're doing here, please subscribe, follow us, let us know, hey, you guys are doing a great job, or that you dislike us like, some fans do, but they've moved on to being Dodger fans. So, sorry, I had to throw that in there. I always will.
It's kind of good.
So just thank everybody so much for everything here, listening to us, watching us, taking the time to look at our ugly mugs, but hopefully learn a little bit about baseball, and that's what we are gonna do today. Nate, I want to talk a little bit about baseball in general. Fun interview came out today, yesterday, depending on when you are listening to this, with Reed Detmers. Remind me of the podcast or the TV show. It's from, what is it?
It's Brzezinski. What's Brzezinski's
Oh my goodness, we
podcast?
came here completely unprepared. That is what I want to talk about, is a little bit of the Reed Detmers interview.
Foul
Um,
territory. Thank you.
Foul territory, yeah. I think Rosenthal's on that, and it's a I can't even think of what it is. Bleacher Report. I believe it's a Bleacher Report podcast, and we don't talk too much about other podcasts here on the show, but when interesting interviews happen, I like to talk about them because this is a very baseball interview and something that we have talked a lot about. And Reed Detmers was asked how it was very Shohei Ohtani based, first off, by the way. And I
Hmm.
I tip the cap to Reed Detmers for sticking in there for that, because I these guys don't want to talk about Shohei Ohtani. When we had Joe Adell on, we intentionally didn't talk about Shohei Ohtani at all. I don't think we've even mentioned his name. Maybe once it was like,
Maybe
well,
at the end, like one little tiny thing, but not like the whole interview based on Shohei Ohtani.
Exactly. Where this interview, it felt like it was solely based on Shohei Ohtani, which took away a very interesting point. And Detmers talked about getting into a routine, and last season and the seasons before that, not knowing when he is going to pitch. And this is something that we've harped on for a long time. And one of the main big reasons why we said it was nearly impossible to build around Shohei Ohtani as the pitcher. As a two-way, should I say. If he was just a pitcher, and you're able to throw him every fifth day or something like that, a little bit different. I don't even know if he does pitch every fifth day at that point. I would assume he does. But Shohei Ohtani as a two-way is so difficult to build around because you are solely building around Shohei Ohtani. And one of the big reasons why I say this year the Los Angeles Dodgers need to win a World Series, because moving forward, you get into a very similar scenario in which the Angels got into, where you have to work around Shohei Ohtani. So back onto what we were talking about with this Reed Detmers thing, is that he is extremely excited, it sounded like, to pitch every fifth day. And I think that is just such a huge understatement to the pitching world. Nate, I'll let you kind of take it away, because us both being pitchers, routines, routines, routines. Pitchers are creatures of habits. 1000%. From the day that I started to what I did during that day, what I ate, like I'm very superstitious to brush my teeth certain ways. Um, but I'll let you kind of talk about it a little bit more. About why I don't know if you necessarily think the Angels pitching staff is going to be better, but I think it has a chance to be significantly better because of of getting on routines. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that going to a 5-man rotation all of a sudden that all of these guys are going to be Cy Young candidates and things like that. But I do think it is a big thing for starting pitchers. It's things they learn in high school, which, hey, what's your routine? Your routine, whether it's a start day, whether it's during the week, whatever. And then you get into college and it's like, really, hey, what is your routine? Because most guys in college, they only pitch. You don't get too many two ways. You get a handful of two ways here and there, but most guys, they're pitcher onlys, and they have to figure out what to do for the the 4, 5, 6, 7 days in between starts, because typically college guys are starting on Friday and then the following Friday. So they're going to throw on Friday. They're going to play their long toss on Saturday, play some catch on Sunday, a little bit lighter, and then play decent catch Monday and probably Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on what feels better for them. Maybe a short box and things like that, and then ready to go for Friday again. And it's really easy because it's the same sequence every single week. It's I start on Friday, and then this is what I do the next day, this is what I do the next day, and this is what I do the next day. So being a pitcher is very much like what works for me. How do I get to the yard? All these things. Um, so I think that's going to be a big, interesting thing for these starting pitchers, because now I think one of the things that people didn't talk enough about when it came to the Angels starting pitchers, and Detmers talks about this too. He goes, heck, half the time I didn't know when I was starting, because you had Shohei Ohtani and it was like sometimes he is good to go on the 6th day. All right. Then you have an off day in there. Well, now he's throwing the 7th day. Maybe you have 2 off days in there because it's a Thursday and a Monday. It could be 8 days before you make your next start. And I know that didn't happen too often, but all it takes is one off day, or all it takes is one day for Shohei Ohtani to be like, you know what, I'm not feeling good. You're gonna have to go on shorter rest. You're gonna have to go on longer rest. It just changes what they had to do in between starts, and so I think that is one thing that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. And it's not just like if you do the research and you go, hey, when Detmers threw on 5 days, he was really really good, or he was really really bad, and he was really good on 6 or whatever. It's not necessarily the days; it's the knowing when you're going to pitch. Because, like I said, guys in college they throw every 7th day, and it's just because they know every Friday I'm the guy. Every Friday I'm the guy. So I think that's going to be a big thing. Is these guys are going to know every 5th day I'm taking the ball. Maybe it's a 6th day because of an off day or things like that. But I think that's the biggest takeaway from what you heard about Reed Detmers is he's excited to know when he's going to pitch. That's the biggest difference between a reliever and a starter. Most of those relievers don't really care when they're pitching. They just want to pitch.
Yeah, I always found it to be absolutely ridiculous when were coming out with the Angels schedule and having Shohei Ohtani starts circled in a sense. Like that was for me one of the most ridiculous things that came out there. It's a fantastic way to sell tickets, but as a starting pitcher, it is that's you don't want that. And same thing goes with the reliever here too, by the way. And this is something that the Angels have really lacked in the past years. Um, Minus when they had a decent bullpen of Cishek, Watson, those type of guys. That year, I thought they really used their bullpen good. I think that was when I think that was a Hector Robles year. When you don't think so? You don't think that was Robles? I think that was Robles's good year when it was like 7-8. It felt like everything lined up perfectly. You can check and see who the closer
I'm
was that
checking
year.
because I think Cishek was 2019, 2020.
Maybe it was a little before that then. But you get what I'm saying. Like when in the bullpen, when you know where you're at, like it would be interesting to talk to Ben Joyce about this and be like, hey, like you pitch in the fifth inning sometimes, but in Rocket City, you was I right? Was that the Robles?
2021. Robles was on the team in 2021.
Okay. But you get what I'm saying. When the bullpen had their order of what was going on. I mean, you can okay, fine, date it back to like 2002. I don't like bringing up 2002, but bring it back 2002 when it was Donnelly, Shields, Percy. Like you had Rodriguez that could throw in that mix as well. But like you knew when you got to the seventh inning and you had a 3-run or less lead, it was Shields, Donnelly, Percival, game over type of thing. Like it
You know
was
what's funny?
bang, bang, bang.
2021 might be better for you actually,
Really?
because
For
the
the closer.
closer was Raisel Iglesias, and he was very much a creature of habit where he's like,
Yeah.
I pitch with the lead in the ninth inning. That is it. Give me the ball when we have the lead in 3 runs or less.
Yeah, that's when
I
he had a
pitch
really
with
good year that year too, I think, right?
he was good in save situations. I
Yeah.
think his numbers, if you look at them, were a little skyrocket a little bit, but it was like the non-save situations where he came in up 5, he gives up a 3-run tank. He comes in a tie game and he gives up a tank or something like that. Like he was very much 3 runs or less. This is my game, and I think that's going to be nice to see as well with Alex Tammon gone. You would expect that the Angels will be a little bit more of roles. Like,
Yeah.
what is your role? Soriano, you're the seventh or the eighth. Joyce, you're the seventh or the eighth. Esteves, you're the ninth. If we have the lead, that's probably the way it goes if everyone's healthy and everyone's pitching well. And then you throw in possibly a Sam Bachman or guys like that, and everyone kind of knows like, all right, we have the lead. It's the fifth inning. Our starters through 5.
Routine
I,
starts. Routine
I
starts.
need to be yes. I need to be ready for the seventh because we have a 2-run lead. It's my
Ra-
inning. So yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah, I was gonna say rather than you get to the fifth inning, you have a 3-run lead, and this I'm sure this happened a lot in the bullpen. Be something really interesting to ask. And it was like, well, this guy can't pitch. Well, Tapera can't pitch. Loop can't pitch. Just throw names out there because that's what I'm thinking of. Tapera can't pitch. Loop can't pitch because they pitched the night before. Those are our seventh, eighth inning guys. Who are we going to now in the seventh inning? Oh, it's
Jaime Barria. Oh,
Jaime
what?
Bria in the
I thought
seventh.
I was the long guy.
Exactly, exactly. And Jaime Bria was a fantastic long reliever. That was a role that I would love to have seen him in because I thought he thrived in it. But yeah, that you could see it last year, in previous years as well. And same thing went with Madden. Like it felt like there was no sense of like, hey, this is what we're doing. The process.
Well, I
Routine,
think
routine,
Tammon
routine.
was telling Madden,
Madden a little bit probably what to do there.
yeah,
But I mean,
hey,
regardless, it
this
was
is
that
this is
was
who's pitching.
yeah. Regardless, it'll be interesting to see how those routines go. Not again. I have to reiterate this here. I don't
This is
think
not going to make the a
no.
74 win team because right now you're looking at this team winning 75, 78 games. It's not going to turn a 74, 75 win team into a 90 win team, but it could make some of these guys that have been maybe not reaching their full potential, allowing them to reach their full potential. Like everyone's kind of been a little disappointed with Reed Detmers. Uh, especially last year, right? Like he ended the year before on that really high, um, like he pitched really well. He was dominating, and then he comes back the next year and he just wasn't the same. Same thing with Patrick Sandoval. He finished the year before with like 2.27, 2.8, 2.9 ERA. Looked really good and just didn't really take that next step forward. So routine could be a big thing for these guys to help them take that next step forward. And you look at what Wash does. Wash is a big routine guy. He has his infielders doing the exact same thing every single day. It's we get to the yard, we do this drill, then we do this drill, then we do that drill. And so I think he's a big routine guy too. So I think hammering that out for everyone else could be huge, just for him because he loves routine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it can only help the pitching staff. Again, got to reiterate it. It's not going to make. I don't think it'll make anybody a Cy Young winner. I'm still worried about guys that haven't pitched over 150 innings in their career. Like Reed Detmers has probably never done that before. Patrick Sandoval probably hasn't done that before in regular season. I think Tyler Anderson was the only one in this rotation right now that's like he's gone above 150 innings multiple times in
Mhm.
his career. And the year he had last year, maybe not so you don't want him throwing more than 150 innings in a season. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Especially late in the season if the guys start getting tired, or if this just helps them out. But yeah, the more and more we talk about it, I'm sure it's going to be something that gets brought up. We're 28 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting, by the way. So we'll see where it goes. Yeah, we're getting even closer. I got a foot of snow outside right now, but we're
Plesac and Sandoval have been close. Plesac went
yeah,
142. Sandoval was 148. So I could see like that's close enough for me to be like, yeah, I could see them easily getting there. Um, but a guy like Detmers, that's going to be the interesting one. Like
120 for him is the most.
I let me check
Last year,
his
130 for Detmers is
oh no, he
was the
was
most.
148 last year. So
148.
so
So
I could see them building on that number and just continuing to get there because innings pitch for me, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, just because he's never done it before doesn't mean he can't do it. There's a lot of different things. If it's injury related, different story. But you're looking at Patrick Sandoval and Reed Detmers. It's not really injury related. It's really based on the rotation they're in and the expectations that are set for them. Like you look at Strasburg when he was a rookie, it was like, oh, we can't let him go above 120, and it was like, well, he ended up getting there. Like he was healthy enough to continue going. So I think it's just more of the circumstances, how old you are, and what they expect of you, rather than like, oh, can this guy actually get to 150? Obviously, if they've had two or three injuries like Griffin Canning, it's different. So Griffin Canning's a little bit different for me. You're expecting him to just kind of maybe get a little better, but the innings limit for him could be interesting. But Sandoval and Detmers and those guys, I think they'll get there and they'll be fine.
it's fine. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, again, excited for spring training. That's always a great time of the year, like getting back to watching baseball. So we are getting even closer to that. Let's get on some Angels news before I let everybody go. Richie Martin signs a minor league deal. Nothing too crazy there. Former big leaguer though,
Yep.
so again, good depth. It's somebody that you hope you don't have to see, but
Andrew
if you
Velasquez.
not a good defender, but sure.
Okay.
It's somebody you
But like
hope you
the
don't
same type of thing.
yeah, somebody you hope you don't see, but if you need 20 games out of him, it's not a bad thing. So I got nothing else on that note. The one note I do want to say, I did see the Angels are linked to Kike Hernandez. I think that is a absolutely perfect fit. I mean, you need somebody who can I don't want to say fill that David Fletcher type of role, but fill that David Fletcher type of role that's better than David Fletcher, who can play all around the infield, who can play the outfield. Oh, and Kike is a great clubhouse guy, by the way, too.
Mm.
I think that would
Yep.
be a huge plus, a huge fit there for the team. You might not see it a lot on the field. I think he was a 199 WRC plus guy last year, but a guy who's been there, he's done that before, he's played in big situations. And if you get him on a 1 year deal, I'm sure someone's going to be chomping at the bit to get him in July if the Angels aren't contending or anything like that. I still don't expect the Angels offseason to be completely over. There's a lot of big names still out there as
There is.
well. There
And
are
there's not a lot of teams that are willing to spend
no,
money.
no, there's not. I mean,
Somebody's going to have to throw some money at these guys.
well, I think that these guys are going to start getting a little bit of pressure, and you start looking at a guy like Cody Bellinger, and he wanted 200 million, and I know you and I have said like 200 million, like I'd do that for Cody Bellinger, but at this point, I don't know if the teams are out there looking for Cody Bellinger. I know you mentioned that Heyman linked Matt Chapman to the Angels, and I don't believe that at all, by the
That's
way.
a joke.
Okay,
That well, no, it's realistic, but Heyman, I don't know what that guy does. That guy just sits there and guesses all day.
I get
He
it.
he sits there and goes, "Huh, you know what? The Angels haven't spent any money. I think Matt
Uh,
Chapman should go to the Angels." It's like we already overpay a third baseman to be below average. Do we need to overpay a third baseman to be below average? No.
Uh, uh, back on to what I was saying though. I think a guy like Bellinger is going to have to take a lot less than what he's expecting. I think we might start talking about like 150 mil, and I feel like that's not
If it
out
gets
of
to that range, the Angels better jump on that one because
yeah,
if he
yeah.
if he signs with Toronto for like
One
20, 18 to 20 for 8 years, I'm gonna be like, wow, we really messed up.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Again, Snell, that market just doesn't seem to be there for him right now. I know the Giants are like heavily in the mix, but it just doesn't seem I don't know. I mean, it
His
could
asking price seems to be absurd.
yeah, you're not going to get Yamamoto money. Like you look at what a lot of those shortstops got last year, and that's probably the range of where he's sitting at, but not year wise either. Like he's not going to get 10, 12 years,
I
even
saw a
8 years.
report he was looking for 8, and it's like, dude, you're
Yeah.
you're 31. Like,
Yeah.
why are we asking for 8? I don't know.
It's just tough. It's a tough market right now. So again, wouldn't surprise me if some guys took some weird deals. Especially now that we're starting to get a little bit closer to spring training and the opening of spring training. I mean, within a month of pitchers and catchers reporting. So before I let everybody go, you got any final thoughts? Jose
I think
Suarez?
Kike Hernandez would be interesting. I would like to see him play every day or at least be a guy. And I know the WRC plus was not good last year. It was 72 and 74 the last 2 years with Boston, but I think you have to see him play a lot. He can't be a guy that you're relying on to be your 1, 2, 3 hitter. But if he's hitting eighth or ninth and playing second base and a little bit of center field, maybe a little bit of third base, things like that's interesting. I don't know if I trust the Angels to utilize him correctly, but we'll see. Luis Rengifo, we'll see what happens with him. We'll see what happens with Brandon Drury. Last thing before I let everyone go, wouldn't it be awesome to just see what goes on in Jose Suarez's arb hearing? Like,
Stop.
could you imagine him trying
Stop.
to argue for his 1.2 that he wants? It's like he had an 11 ERA. Like, I
He's
don't know
been
that
it's
that would be fun.
for that I get what you're saying. I do. He wasn't a good pitcher, but it comes down to the years and seniority type of thing. Like he's been around long enough that
This is his first year of ARB though. Like it's not like
I
it's
know.
and I know that I think the Angels number was fair for him. Like I think it was like 980 or 9 something. It was in the nines and he was asking for like 1.1, 1.2. Like try and convince me that you deserve over $1 million. Like you have been a negative WAR pitcher. And I'm not even a big WAR guy, but like what are you going to sit here and show that you've been productive enough to deserve over $1 million?
And Suarez, he's got no options left either, so he might not even make the team out of spring. So it's an interesting. It's Angels are in some weird spots, like especially with a guy like Matt Thaiss, who it seems like has a job, but I mean, what happens if he doesn't perform in spring? Do you start having that conversation about Chad Wallach? I love Chad Wallach. I think he's a very good defensive catcher and
Or
somebody
Mejia.
or Francisco Mejia who has the bat. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. Same thing goes at first base. It's like what happens if Shanwell's not doesn't look good at first base. So now we're just getting into the weird, question range of like who fits where, and we'll talk about it here in the coming weeks, and especially going into spring training as well. So, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching and listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Go ahead and pound that bell for us as well if you're here on YouTube. if you're not, leave us a review somewhere, wherever you are listening. I look at all of them and I appreciate all of them, good or bad. You can follow myself on X at Jared_Tim's, Nate at NateGreen34. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.